Hey there my wedding planning friends, and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, thanks so much for clicking on my video. I'm Emily Summer. I'm a wedding planner based in Montana, and I make weekly videos on wedding planning tips and advice. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, or if you haven't seen the video I did about wedding dresses a few weeks back, then you may not know this, but I actually own a wedding dress store as well here in Missoula. It's called Velvet Bride. And today I wanted to do a video all about kind of the wedding dress shopping experience and do a little Q&A. I polled my audience on Instagram and asked some people what kind of questions they had when it comes to wedding dress shopping and anything that I could answer. First one, this is super important. How far in advance should I start shopping? So this will vary based on where you're shopping, what the store's designers, what their timeline looks like. For me personally and for my store, I always say at least 6 months, because most of our designers will take about 4 to 5 months to ship into the store, and then you want to make sure that you are allowing yourself enough time for alterations, which typically if you give yourself at least 4 weeks, that's usually a good time frame if you have fairly minimal alterations. So having that 6 month time frame, that's 6 months from your wedding day to shop. And obviously there's no harm in going earlier than that, and especially if you're somebody that wants to go to several different stores, if you want to be able to have the opportunity to shop a couple different times, giving yourself even more of a lead time, like 8 or 9 months, is going to be great. Do you have plus sizes? So I'm going to explain kind of how sample sizes work and what to expect when you go into a store. So if you've never been wedding dress shopping before, you may not know. Typically, most stores, what you do is you'll go in and the store will have what's called sample gowns. And so these are the gowns that you will try on, and then they will order in your size in that gown. So everything that you try on is just typically one size of that dress. And the reason why we only have one size is we have to purchase each and every dress. So it's not like we just get a bunch of dresses, or like it's another retail store where we're getting dresses or items of clothing pretty cheap and then marking them up a ton. Wedding dresses still cost store owners anywhere from $400 to $2,000 each. So when you think about that, I would love to be able to have a range of sizes in every single dress, and eventually I want to have multiple sizes in each dress. But for now, we can really only afford the one dress, the one size in the one dress. But we do carry, most of our dresses right now are going to be a size 10 to 14, and then all of the new dresses that I've gotten in the last few months are all a size 15 or 16. So I do want to accommodate all body types. I want to be able to have dresses that plus size girls can come in and actually put on their bodies and try on and feel good about it. And eventually I do want to have an actual plus size section, and so that is just something that I'm working towards. But if you're wondering why sizing is the way it is in stores, that is why. We have to pay for each individual dress, and it's hard if you have all of them being one really large size and you have a gal that comes in that's really small and petite. Trying to get that to fit her is going to be just as difficult as a plus size gal trying to fit into a small size. So hopefully that helps kind of make that a little bit more understandable. Someone else asked, how does fitting work for petite size 0? So same situation. Again, when you come in, you're going to try on the one size. Don't expect it to fit you, and we will just clamp it to fit you. And I've got tons of tricks up my sleeves to be able to give you the illusion that this dress fits you, and so that you can see how it would fit in your size. You're just going to have clamps, and you just kind of have to ignore it, and that's just the way that it goes. So if you're a really small gal and you're going to be trying on a size 10 or 12, just expect a lot of clamping to happen, but you will be able to get the visual of how it would fit you. And then most of our designers also have a petite option when it comes to actually ordering in your size. So especially if you're a shorter gal and you have a really long train and it's something intricate and you don't want a seamstress to have to completely tear that apart, a lot of the designers do have a petite option for dresses like that, so that you can get a little bit of a shorter length. I'm just really intimidated by the entire process and don't know how it works at all. Okay, so don't be intimidated. I know that it can be a little bit overwhelming if you've never done this before, but there's nothing to be afraid of, especially if you are bringing in a couple gals. I will say, if it's your first time and you're a little bit overwhelmed and you're intimidated, Don't bring a whole entourage. Bring 2, 3 of your closest friends, maybe your mom, somebody that you trust, somebody that you know will maybe be honest with you, but not going to bulldoze your experience, not going to be over opinionated, and give you a chance to work through what you're liking and kind of help figure out what you like and not try to change your mind. Also, bring champagne. I usually have champagne available, but you're also more than welcome to bring champagne of your own or whatever you want to drink. We try and make this as comfortable and easy as a process as possible, and it should be fun. But just a short kind of breakdown of what the process is. So obviously you'll come in for your dress fitting, you'll try on, you'll pick out dresses that you like, you'll try them on, we'll get you fitted into it so that you can see what it looks like. And then if it's your first time, you might find a dress that you love, but you also might not, and that's okay, and you might just have to do it a couple of times. But the goal for your first dress try-on experience is, if you don't find a dress, you want to at least narrow down your style, your shape, what you're liking. So you want to leave your first dress shopping experience with at least a general direction of where you want to go when it comes to a dress, and it's okay if you don't find your dress on the first shopping experience. Then once you've narrowed it down, you can come back and try them on, take lots of pictures, think it over, sleep on it, and then when you come back and decide on a dress, we get you measured, we get your size ordered, and then like I said before, it takes about 4 or 5 months to come in. And then unfortunately in my store we don't do alterations in-house, but there is a local woman that I recommend all of my brides to, so that's just something that you'll have to ask based on where you're going, whether they provide the alterations or you have to take it to a third party. And then the dress comes in, and either you have it altered there or you take it to a seamstress and you're ready to rock. How many times do you recommend shopping? So, kind of touch on this a little bit, but it's going to be different for everybody. So if you are somebody that gets really overwhelmed by a lot of options, then I would recommend don't go shopping more than 2 times, maybe 3 times. But something to keep in mind is the more dresses that you try on, the more confused and overwhelmed you're going to get, because there's a lot of options out there when it comes to wedding dresses. And what I always tell people is, you're not going to have a hard time finding a pretty dress, right? Like, all the dresses are going to feel pretty, they're going to make you feel pretty, hopefully. But that's not what the goal is, right? You're trying to find your dress, you're trying to find the dress that speaks to you, that feels the best for you, that you think your fiance will love, that will fit the space the best, all of those things, but ultimately what makes you feel the best in that dress. So the more dresses you try on, sure, they're going to be pretty and you might be tempted to try them on, but if it's not your style, if you've already figured out kind of a general direction of what you're wanting, then stay in that lane and don't cross back over, and don't second guess yourself, and just kind of power through on that train and try not to try on too many dresses so that you're making yourself overwhelmed. Is it better or worse to have pictures of dresses I like? Okay, so this can be tricky. It's never bad, I don't think, to have pictures of dresses that you like and be able to show me kind of what you're gravitating towards, style-wise, what you're into as far as like lace or plain or beaded. I will say though, if you haven't tried on dresses yet and you have a selection of dresses, of photos that you really like, that you think are your dress, that's when it can get tricky. So if you haven't tried anything on, you're not going to know how it feels on your body, how it looks on your body, how you feel in it, and those things are subject to change once you do start trying things on. So it's totally okay to have photos of dresses you like so that you know your own personal style, and I think it's important to put those dresses on, but don't anticipate that being your dress. Like, it's okay if you put that on and you're like, I thought that I wanted this, but I don't really like it as much as I thought that I would. That's something that you very well may find, and that is okay. It happens to a lot of brides, and that's something to just kind of anticipate. So don't get let down if you feel like what you're liking is nothing like what you thought that you would like, and just move on. Is it normal for brides to cry when they find their dress? Okay. Normal, common, yes. Normal, no. I would say lately, I've had maybe one bride cry in the last 2 months. So if you're waiting for that moment where you're gonna cry and that's what you're expecting, that's how you're gonna know that that's your dress, don't put so much pressure on that. I know they have these shows like Say Yes to the Dress, if you've seen that. A lot of people have these big emotional moments when they find their dress, and that does happen for sure, but if that's not your personality, if you're not somebody that cries easily, if you're not somebody that's overly emotional, like, that's okay. And don't be waiting for this big emotional moment to happen to know that that's your dress. It doesn't happen for a lot of brides, and a lot of them will just be excited. They'll look at themselves and they'll say, I just feel really good in this. I don't want to take it off. This is my dress. No tears shed, and that's okay. What is the price range of your dresses? Good question to know, and this is something to do some research on before you are wedding dress shopping so that you know kind of the price ranges of the different stores in your area. For my store, we carry mostly, I would say, so overall range would be about 900 to, $4,000 is our most expensive dress, but there isn't really anything in the $28,000 to $4,000 range. We just happen to have a couple of pretty expensive dresses. But the majority of the dresses, I would say, sit in that kind of $1,500 to $2,200 range. If you come in with a $1,700 budget, $2,000 budget, you're going to be just fine. You're going to have a lot of options. That being said, we do have a lot of sample gowns that can be sold off of the rack that are well under $1,000, and there's also quite a bit in that like $1,200 to $1,500 range as well. So that is just my store. Obviously it will vary based on the region that you're in and the stores that you're going to and the designers that they carry, but that is kind of an overall common budget for my area and my store, and I feel like that is pretty common among the area that I'm in as well. Well, those are all the questions that I have today, so hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe to get weekly videos on wedding planning tips and advice, and we will see you next week.